As we do every week, we have dragged Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports back onto the podcast to talk about the Mondays with Mel press conference, what he saw from the Akron game, and also a little game, overreaction or proper reaction. Let's go.
Our Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am with the three greatest kinds of people in the world right now. Number one, the listeners of Locked On Spartans. Number two, the viewers of Locked On Spartans if you're watching on YouTube. And number three is just quite simply Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. He's back, as he is every week, to talk about, well, what he saw from the game, what's going to go on to the next game, and everything in between. But before we get into him, hey, just want to thank you all for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day here in the Locked On Podcast Network. And before I even let Stephen talk, just two quick pieces of news here from Michigan State. The first one, hey, the Spartans are kicking off against Minnesota at 3:30 in 2 weeks for the Big Ten opener. And then, just like last week, Jacoby Windmon wins Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. He is the first back-to-back Big Ten Defensive Player of the week, since 2017. Although I guess he's in good standing to win Defensive Player of the Year, so maybe I'm foreshadowing. Regardless, Stephen, you just came from Mondays with Mel press conference. What was your biggest takeaway from your meeting with Mr. Mel Tucker?
I guess I don't ever really think of it like that way, but I mean, So right off the bat, I'll just say he was asked about Jaden Reed. Of course, I'm sure a lot of your listeners want to know about Jaden Reed. Give me a guess what you think he said, Matt.
SORE is my guess. He's sore? He is sore,
and he'll be ready when he's ready. So the stock answer there, got it twice, actually. Somebody that wasn't always around sort of tried to get clarification, not realizing that's sort of Mel's go-to line there. And so we got it twice today. I think, and this is not anything that I've heard or anything, but I do think he'll probably play out there. Okay. It sounded like I think the TV broadcast actually said it was a back injury, a cut, something from landing on the sideline when he made that catch. So, and look, obviously the way that game went and was going, you didn't need to hurry him back or anything. So I got a feeling he'll probably be out there or at least give it a go and see how he can do. But I think he's good there. The other thing I think is interesting, and again, sadly, didn't get a ton of detail, didn't get a ton, but Saturday night, Mel mentioned something about having sort of special preparations for this game. Not exactly the same, but similar to Miami last year, where it was all hands on deck, and it was something they thought about over the summer. And they cranked up the heat in the indoor a couple times during training camp, and just the hydration, the nutrition. There was just so much more emphasis and extra thought put into that trip going down there in mid-September in the heat. He mentioned that sort of having a similar sort of diligence to put together something different for going 3 hours west all the way. Didn't get much detail on that. I asked him about it, and he just straight up said, I don't really want to reveal a lot about what we're doing, but we are doing some things. The one thing that he let slip, I don't know if it was, the one thing he said was that they're asking their guys to go to bed an hour earlier. So there's that. So you've got sleep and secrets, I guess, right now are the plan. But, he's been in the NFL, of course. He knows a bunch of people, of course. So between his experience and people he can lean on, I'm sure that they've got something going on, to help these guys get adjusted and everything. Because it's the time difference, of course, but it's also you talk to any athlete or you hear some of these guys talking about it lately, what being on a plane that long does to your body can do some weird stuff, And look, I'm not an athlete to tell you. When I go on the plane, I try to get to sleep as fast as possible, but there's some real data and science there and everything too. So I don't know if he's got them all sleeping in anti-gravity, hyperbaric, this and that, chambers and tents or whatever. But rest assured, there is some special planning that's going on with this, and I always think that stuff's interesting, and I think reflects well, on him and his support staff and all these people involved that they're forward thinking like that.
Yeah, and you know as well as anyone does, Mel keeps a lot of his answers short, not a lot of detail in the press conference. And a lot of fans know this by now as well. But he went into detail about one quote that was a little long that I want to turn into a question for you, actually. And he was talking about this year's team versus last year's team. And he said, quote, "We're building the story of this year's team right now. Last year's team is gone. That's a different team. This is a new team. This is a new season. So we're focused on what we have to do on a day-to-day basis to prepare to play good football." And what he meant by that was like, look, you can't rest on your laurels from last year as good as you were. But the podcaster me is going to turn this into a question for you, Steven. So far, after 2 games, small sample size against 2 MAC teams, what is the biggest difference between this year's team and last year's team, in your opinion?
Whoa. We don't have one
Loaded
of the
question. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll just start with the obvious. You don't have one of the 3, 4, 5 best players in the country, I don't think. Yeah.
Correct.
Look, maybe Jacoby Winman's making a case for it. I mean, my gosh, he's had a heck of a start here. But as I mentioned last week, I do want to see him do it, starting this week against some Power 5 competition, because I mean he's been eating guys lunch like Akron and Western, for a couple of years out at UNLV. So I do want to see that. But yeah, that's the biggest difference, is you don't have that game breaker. Like I'm talking about Kenneth Walker, folks. If you haven't put that together, I mean,
Sure, right, yeah.
he could get you out of trouble. He could make something out of nothing. I mean, look, we all know how special he was. That's number one. You don't have that guy that can just bail you out and throw you a life raft at almost any given moment against almost anybody. You don't have that. And then defensively, though, I would say, look, sample size is small. Competition has not been great, but they just look so much more athletic and versatile defensively. Really across the board, defensive line, linebackers, secondary look more athletic. At every level is more versatile. As a collective, as an 11, they're more versatile, I think. There's so much through these first 2 weeks. I'm seeing so much more just rotating and mixing of coverages than I was a year ago. Whereas, especially this early in September a year ago, it was cover 3 or it was man, cover 1 type of thing. It was basically one of 2 things. Now you're seeing a lot more cover 2 sprinkled in. They're going back to their cover 3 roots and everything. Quarters, man, different type of blitzes and pressures with all the things they can do with this front. We saw some actual sort of 3 linebacker formations on defense this week, where it looked like the old D'Antonio defense. And then we've got the things where you've got the 1 stand-up edge. Sometimes you've got 2 stand-up guys. And so there's all sorts of different stuff going on there. And I would say that's one of the other main differences at this point. You don't have that game breaker on offense. Defensively, just more versatile and just more athletic across the board. I know we talked about that a little bit last week, but these guys just look different from a physical standpoint.
And speaking of defense too, like I thought, just to go into an individual observation right here, is that Kendall Brooks, I thought did as well as you could have hoped for a kid to do. How'd you, like his game? Was it pretty much as good as us State fans, really think that it was? Okay, of course, keep in mind, it was Akron, yada, yada, yada. But look, he was sticking his tackles. I don't think he missed a single tackle all the game. So how do you grade his game, I guess, from Saturday? Can we feel okay about this?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You got to feel good. I mean, you lose a 4-year starter in X. As I've talked about, one of their smartest guys, one of their leaders, one of their most reliable players and everything. And, I mean, Kendall Brooks he really hasn't, lost a step when they put him in there, to be honest. I mean, he's always around the ball. I think that's what you like, first of all. He's always near the action, which is good. And that's how he's getting some of these forced fumbles and whatnot. That was another thing Mel talked about today, is like turnovers happen when you've got bodies around the ball. And that one that he had his hand in, he didn't get credit with it. Jacoby Windmon actually popped it out. But there was like 6 guys swarming that ball carrier where that one of the 12 fumbles or whatever Akron had came out. So I like that Brooks is always around the ball. My thing was, and I'd heard he was a hitter. I saw he was a hitter coming out of North Greenville. My thing was like the foot speed and the agility, and just, was he going to be a liability covering guys? And look, at least against Akron, he wasn't. I mean, that that single coverage PBU he had was impressive. I mean, if he can keep doing that stuff, he's quicker, more fluid athletically than I think he looks, because he looks sort of like a stocky, just sort of a box, type of player. But I think he's got a little more to him in downfield coverage than it might look. Obviously, he's a ferocious hitter, when he does get near guys. So I don't think there's, to this point, he hasn't shown any reason to be concerned by it. I think he's stepped in and shown himself to be a quality starting caliber player at this level. Now, I'm not saying he is X Henderson or he's going to take his job or anything.
Sure.
But I think he's been good enough to step in there and give them what they need, to the point that even when X comes back, I do think that Brooks has earned a spot in a rotation type of capacity. Like, I don't think Henderson's going to come back and we'll never see Brooks again. I think he's going to be part of this thing as we move forward because I think he's earned that. He's proven that. So, yeah, very, very promising. And he's got a heck of a story. I wrote about it. A lot of folks wrote about it. But, yeah, I won't bore everybody with that. But go check that out. He's got a really interesting path that he took to get here.
Right on. So, okay, we've already hit a lot so far. Mondays with Mel, we talk about Kendall Brooks, but we also got a lot to talk about. We have two big elephants in the room. Some might not be a good elephant. Some are very fun elephants to talk about, but we're going to do it in back-to-back segments of a game that we quite simply call overreaction or proper reaction. But first, Steven, I just need to say goodbye to your handsome face for a hot second because I got to talk to the fine folks about Upside. That is right, from cringing at the pump to getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant. Look, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts, and it really hurts. But that's why I started using Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out because with every purchase, I'm earning cash back thanks to Upside. To get started, download the free Upside app, use my promo code LOCKED, that's right, just LOCKED, and get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Next, claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. Check in at the business, pay as usual with a credit or debit card, and bang, just get paid. In comparison to credit card rewards or loyalty programs, you could earn 3 times more cash back with Upside. Upside users are earning more than $1 million every week, and that's probably why they have earned a 4.8-star rating on the App Store. So what on earth are you waiting for? Get money in your pocket, download the free Upside app, and use promo code LOCKED to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Once again, that's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using promo code LOCKED. And as we welcome the wonderful Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. Hey, just want to thank you all for making us your first listen and view every single day as we build up to Week 3's kickoff against Washington. Stephen, look, we're going to play a game, overreaction or proper reaction. Some of these are thoughts that I have. Some of them are thoughts I just saw a lot of on Twitter or message boards, a real good melting pot to get some rational thinking. Always. But hey, I'm one of these people that do it. So, sorry, hand up. I'm one of the people that are causing these problems. Overreaction or proper reaction, Stephen. Payton Thorne is shaky and is having an overthrow problem he's never had, and Spartan fans have every right to panic ahead of this Washington game. Is this an overreaction to worrying about Payton Thorne, or do people need to just calm down a little bit on dissecting his game right now? What are your thoughts on the hottest topic in MSU football banter?
Right. Yeah, no, 100% proper to be concerned.
Okay.
I think concern is a way. I mean, I think you might have put a little too much flavor on it for my taste, but yeah, just concern for sure. I mean, it's not just blue skies and everything's all dandy. I mean, no, this is, I wrote it in my post-game grade article, last week wasn't just a blip. This is now 3 games if you go back to the Peach Bowl, and he was quite awful and for most of that game. And now look, you give him credit, he figured some things out and put it together late, but for the most part, that wasn't a winning performance from Payton Thorne in the Peach Bowl. Western Michigan was 50% completion rate. That's not going to get it done against anybody, of substance in the Big Ten. And then last week, against Akron, of course, we saw a lot of the same things. So absolutely, because there's a pattern here now. So look, I think, and I thought this all offseason. I'm not trying to make it sound like revisionist history, but I do think a lot of folks, and maybe I was guilty of it, but I've kind of always felt this way, they were kind of putting the cart before the horse with Payton Thorne. I mean, I thought this guy was on ESPN's top 100 players list, and things of that nature. And I thought he had a good year last year, and somehow, 27 touchdowns somehow is a Michigan State record, which doesn't seem right in this day and age. But he always needed to show more and take that next step. I always go back to those games last year where Kenneth Walker was either A, not available, or B, as weird as it sounds, bottled up a little bit. I'm thinking of Nebraska. I'm thinking of Indiana at times. Ohio State, of course, but everybody was, just getting bombarded that game. So I don't blame him that much there. And then, of course, the Peach Bowl. But when Kenneth Walker wasn't being an All-American, Payton Thorne was not picking up the slack and taking the baton there. And so, we've seen a little bit of extension of that. The difference, though, is sort of this mechanical stuff, this year, where it's the overthrows, the underthrows, the just wide 5 yards to the right. I mean, look, guys, it's hard to miss Keon Coleman's catch radius, and I know I'm sort of leading the charge on his hype and everything, but look, it's true though. The dude's 6'3", 200 whatever. He can jump out of the gym. It's hard to miss his catch radius, and He's missing his catch radius a couple times. So, mechanically, I'm not, George Whitfield. I can't tell you if it's a 1 degree difference here on the release angle or this or that, but clearly something's wrong. I do think he's a little, he doesn't seem very comfortable in the pocket. So of course that was a topic after the game, and nobody wants to say he's pressing. Nobody wants to say he's frustrated other than Peyton. Peyton said he's frustrated, but Mel Tucker, Noah Kim, some of his teammates, nobody really wanted to say, and that's fine if that's their opinion. I'm just saying that nobody, was like, I think the pressure might be getting to him, or, the desire to sort of take that step and be the star might be getting to him. Nobody said that, but I think we can all kind of see that, right? Last week, the first week, there's the issue, the storyline with his dad, and I don't know how much that played into it, but now we're 2 weeks in a row where some of these issues are coming up. And so I do think that there's some pressing going on. Look, he was the star of the offseason, kind of, even though I would have never called him Michigan State's best player. That's Jade Reed. Maybe it's Jacoby Windmon now, but he was NIL this, he was speaking engagement that, he was promoting this, I'm not just saying off the field, but just, like I said, ESPN's top 100 list. He was like the main guy getting a lot of hype in the offseason. So I don't know if any of that sort of coming around and getting to him or anything like that, or if he thought he had to play himself into the NFL this year. I'm just sort of spitballing at this point. But I know that he's got to be better. And I know that, look, everybody that's calling for Noah Kim, just settle down. Like, we haven't seen
that's a little too much.
This guy. Yeah, that's an overreaction to the nth degree.
Yeah.
We haven't seen nearly enough of this guy. The only thing you've seen of him has been against one of the 3 worst teams in FBS football late in a blowout. Okay, so let's just settle down there. Yeah. And I think you got to give Peyton some time to try to figure it out. Not unlimited leash. He hasn't earned that. He doesn't have the job for life, but we're not at that point yet. But some concern and some raised eyebrows are warranted at this point. And I'll just say one other thing is the Western game and a little bit in Akron too, a lot of it, I shouldn't say a lot, but part of me thinks that Peyton's maybe not fully comfortable with his protection all the time. I thought there, especially in the Akron game, I thought there were some weird moments where he was mismanaging the pocket and almost floated into pressure, as opposed to escaping it, or was feeling it too early. So I think from my observations, I don't think he has the utmost trust in the protection that he's getting, even though in that Akron game specifically, I did think he was getting protected pretty well. Western, bit of a different story, but I think that's part of the equation here as well.
Yeah, you're echoing a lot of things that I said yesterday, and if anyone missed the show, I don't expect everyone to listen to every single show, but yeah, I think he's pressing, right? I mean, he knows he's the guy. He knows he has the weapons around him, and essentially this whole season is on kind of his shoulders because the defense is already showing that they could do enough. And just like you said, hey, like Western, I could come up with a laundry list of excuses for him. I'm a Payton Thorne slappy. Hey, he's playing his dad. That's nerve-wracking. Oh, he's a little rusty. He's got to get used to new targets. But then Akron, you start to overthrow, just like he said, Keon Coleman a few times. It's not like we're missing Cade McDonald here, like a small guy. Like missing Keon that many times on pretty easy routes too. That's where I start to go, uh-oh. I don't have a lot of excuses for you anymore. We're going to have a big game against Washington coming up. So, yeah, unfortunately, okay. Proper reaction. I know it's not the answer we wanted to hear, but unfortunately, it's just the truth, I think, is that, okay, we need to see Peyton step up here in Seattle. So, oh boy. Hey, do you know what? I'm going to change the vibe right now. Let's go to something fun. One of the fun elephants in the room. Overreaction.
Yeah, I was curious what the fun elephant was when you mentioned that. Where we got here?
There's no shortage of fun elephants here. It's been a good start. We're 2-0. Okay, so here it is, Steven. Jacoby Windmon is the Kenneth Walker of defense. He is a game breaker. He is as good on defense as Kenneth Walker was on offense. And once again, Mel Tucker has won the transfer portal in the year of our Lord 2022. Overreaction or proper reaction? Take us to church, Stephen Brooks.
Overreaction. That is a good one. Yeah, folks, you got a good host here. You're in good hands.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
This is good. No, both topics, they fit well in the game. Yeah, absolutely overreaction. Because as I mentioned, he was doing this in the Mountain West. He was killing people out there, and Akron, again, is just not very good. Western was breaking in some new offensive linemen. But here's to call him Kenneth Walker, as I said, Kenneth Walker was no worse than the 5th best player in college football, I'd say. I would probably have him higher. I have second on my Heisman ballot. But Jacoby Winman, could he be a top 25 player? Maybe. Sure. But he's not there yet, I don't think. What are we talking, top 50 or something? And then now we're just, it's just kind of ridiculous at that point. So definitely an overreaction to and I don't think he's we'll see. Kenneth Walker changed their season, changed their trajectory, changed what they were. Does Jacoby Windmon do that quite to that extent? Yeah, I'm just not comfortable going there yet. If he goes out to Washington, has 3 more sacks, and then has 10 by mid-October or something. Well, he may be all past that. If he has 12 or something by mid-October, then maybe we'll talk differently. But it's and again, like, the difference between I don't really want to go, but yeah, it's an overreaction for now to call him the Kenneth Walker. He's more like, I guess there's really not a good parallel from last year either to him. But no, too much to call him Kenneth Walker. But here's what I will say about Jacoby that I think was really encouraging, and I'm probably going to write something about this or at least mention it in a little review thing. But he goes out there against Western, blows up, has a great day, and everybody saw he was doing that. It's like the flashy new move. They call it the ghost rush or the ghost move, or where he just dips right under the offensive tackle. He bends right at the waist and gets right under their arms that are outstretched. He did that like almost the whole night, and the couple days later when we talked to him, he's like, you got to think about it like a chess player and always be setting up your next move, always have a counter ready. And we saw against Akron, I think the very first snap, he's doing the long arm thing where you just stick your arm out there, just keep the guy right off you, where you sort of turn that corner there. He had a spin move, and there was at least 2 or 3 other moves I remember jotting down that were different, obviously from that dip move, that ghost move. And so he's got more counters and more tools in his bag. I think that's what's really encouraging. He's not just a one-trick pony. And he said he would have that, but then he went out and proved it against Akron. So there's more tools in the bag, which I think you got to like. And the only thing I got to see from him now, much like Brooks, he's always around the ball too, which I think you like.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I just got to prove it, or I got to see him prove it against Power 5 competition consistently. That's the next thing.
Amen to that. Yeah, and we're going to get a really nice test coming up here against a solid Washington team. And hey, we'll get to them in a hot segment. First, Steve, I'm so sorry. I just got to say goodbye to you once again because I got to talk to people's ears off about Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group. That's right. When it comes to land sales, it pays to have experts in your corner. Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group are your local farmland specialists. With decades of experience in the Corn Belt agriculture, no one knows the market better. Whether you're looking to do a 1031 exchange, expanding your operation, or selling a row crop farm, your local Acre Pro agent will walk the land with you and ensure the deal is done right. And great service is just the beginning at Acre Pro. Acre Pro provides unparalleled land data, including soil ratings, elevation, flood zones, and land valuation across parcels so that you can get the full picture up front and be confident in the entire land market. Your agent will cater to each of your individual needs and help you navigate the complexities of buying and selling land so that the process is made simple. Experience the ease of Acre Pro by working with farmland specialists like Kyle Rule, Brady Hammond, Neil Herr, and Kyle Spray. Visit acrepro.com or call 765-587-3185 and talk to your local land expert today. Again, that's 765-87-3185. Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group. And as we welcome back the wonderful Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. Hey, just once again, thanks a lot for making us your first watch or listen every single day. It's overreaction or proper reaction because you know me, I can get a little too jumpy here when I'm talking about Michigan State. But
not you, never.
You see, okay, thank you. I'm glad you recognize that. Yeah, I'm very level-headed. I'm always between like a 4.5 or 5.5. I'm never, high too high.
As long as I've known you, yeah, very consistent all the time in that.
Totally still wasn't sweating when the game was 35-0 against Akron on Saturday. Now that'd be a sick thing to do. Anyway, so yeah, that was a healthy reaction to me watching the Akron game. So surely this Saturday will be just an easy watch for us. Steven, overreaction or proper reaction? I'm scared of Washington. I'm scared of Washington. That's it. That's I'm scared of Washington. That's 4 words. That's all I have for you because look, they've faced arguably even weaker competition than Michigan State so far this year. Kent State, Portland State, they've pile-driven them both into the ground. But Michael Penix and Kalen DeBauer, that's a great duo right there. And they seem to have it clicking early over in Seattle. And I just hate road games. I'm still scarred by what happened in Tempe not too long ago, so I'll just stop babbling and spiraling. Overreaction or proper reaction to be scared of Washington.
Yeah. Okay. So it's take I'm out of it because you're going to be scared of everybody. So that's proper for you. But should Michigan State fans be worried? Like I've been saying all summer, I don't think so. Okay. To be honest, I really don't. I know a lot of people have made this into a big showdown or a big challenge or a big test, and it is a test relative to the first few games. I don't think there is, from what I can tell, I don't think they're as good or as scary as going down to Miami last year. And look, Miami's fizzled out. They sent Jarek King to a farm upstate and all that. But that was a scary team with Rambo and him and some of those other guys. I mean, I don't see it with Washington. I haven't all summer, and when I watched them against Kent State, I didn't get to watch them last week. But when I watched them against Kent State, like it kind of reinforced it. I don't see a huge threat there. Now the situation, the circumstances, the 3-hour time difference, maybe that gets weird and guys lose their mind or something, and that goes sideways. But man, the way that they came out focused and locked in and had that plan and executed that plan in Miami last year, despite what Mel said today about having no relevance, I do think that if they can do something like that again and lock in, then I think they're going to win this game. I mean, Washington is. I don't like their skill players at all. First of all, I don't think Penix is thrown to anybody special. I don't think he is a good player, no doubt. But folks also have to. I know Michigan State fans have PTSD from Michael Penix, and then they're scared about him. But they also, I don't think, are remembering the time he really diced him up was in 2019 when D'Antonio obviously was still here. They played him in 2020, and he was all right, and Michigan State got shut out. But that team had other issues. When Penix really came in and carved him up and actually took the L, though. That was the D'Antonio defense, and people don't remember that was just death by 1,000 cuts. It was not like 2014 JT Barrett like bombs away 60, 70 yarders all night. It was just it was a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there, death by 1,000 cuts. And that's what the D'Antonio defense would give up a lot of the time. He was just hitting open guys in the flat over and over and over, and completing little checkdowns at the line of scrimmage, hit him in the flat 4 or 5 yards at a time. Boom, keep doing that. This is not the same defense. This is not the same scheme. So for anybody that's worried, as I said, Penix is good. He's got his old coach with him. Like that's a good duo. They're going to have something good schemed up. But this isn't the same scheme, Michigan State-wise, that he diced up, a couple of years back that made people really open their eyes to him. So I would remind folks of that. Again, I don't think their skill players are very good from what I saw against Kent State. And I just think in general, from the transition to Jimmy Lake, near the end of the Chris Peterson tenure, they had a lot of draft picks that went on, and left the program. From the Jimmy Lake transition to DeBoer, they had a lot of guys exit through the transfer portal. So I just don't think it's a team that, it'll be a solid test. But I don't think it's what people are making it out to be. I get it's the only Power 5 and it's a road trip, and that part is a little intimidating. But on the field, if Michigan State shows up and plays a solid game, I think Michigan State's going to come back 3-0. I thought that all summer. I'm a little less confident now seeing both teams. I got to admit, I'm still very curious about the offensive line. I don't have a ton of faith there yet. Thorne now is obviously concerning, but all in all, I don't see it as the same sort of intimidating, daunting challenge on the field like going to even a Miami was last year. I don't think Washington is that good, to be honest. And look, this clip will be right here. Folks want to make fun of me next week and that goes sideways, but I've been feeling that all summer, and their Kent State game that I watched didn't change my mind.
I think that this is just more of a psychological issue I have, is that if the road game at Arizona State never happened a few years ago, I think I'd be feeling fine about this game. But I just have scars that will never heal from that game because, hey, speaking of not that good, who else wasn't that good? Arizona State, when Herm Edwards and company decided to defeat the Spartans on the road. But it will be, I think, quite literally 50 degrees cooler for this game in Seattle than it will be in Tempe on that fateful September night. So hopefully that helps. As well.
Washington, as from what I've seen, they've struggled to fill that stadium. And from what I've gathered, it seems like a lot of Michigan State people are interested in going out there. I don't know how many actually are following through, but I think there could be a chance that there's a pretty strong Michigan State showing out there as well. So you get up a score early, and now you're just sort of sightseeing and playing ball. You're not worried about any sort of hostile atmosphere and everything.
No, I think it will be like a neutral field site. And again, hey, that's another clip to air out here if, Washington does pack their stadium. But just like you said, they haven't yet. And I get there's no, real good competition they faced yet. But neither State and Spartan Stadium has been popping the last 2 weeks, Steve. And this is a rabid fan base, and a fan base that's going to travel to Seattle pretty well. And speaking of traveling, let's get to the last one here. We're going to switch sports, Stephen Brooks. It actually just came out today per John Rothstein that your Michigan State basketball Spartans, ladies and gentlemen, are in the 2024 Maui Invitational. So the last overreaction or prop reaction. Stephen, I'm in the midst of liquidating my entire 401k right now to go to the islands, to spend Thanksgiving on the islands and watch Michigan State. Is that just normal, proper behavior, or am I making a financial error right here, as the folks would call it?
Yeah, no. So that's proper. That's proper for sure. And I don't even know if with all due respect, I don't even, you might have to pick up a second job after you liquidate the retirement account. I mean,
no problem.
It's cheap. It's not cheap getting out there.
Yep.
But yeah, I think if you've never done it, I should say, and I don't think you have, maybe you have, but I don't, but if anybody has never done it, I would say for sure. Because it's Hawaii. It's awesome. Of course, first of all, the event's always great, but let's just be real. Like the Izzo era, however long it's going, is winding down.
Yep.
And I think, it'd be fun to go out there and support him, support those guys. But also there's no guarantee that Michigan State will be a program that gets invited to these type of things in, forever in the post Izzo era, where it's always just a given every 4 or 5, 6 years, the last 20. Maybe who knows how many more times it'll happen. And so what are we talking about? 2024? I mean, think about what type of team that could be with the 2023 recruiting class. Xavier Booker, Jeremy Fears, Garrick Norman, Cohen Carr. Are all those guys back? Are 3 of those guys back? Are 4 of them back? Just as sophomores leading that team, what type of potential could that be like? So of course you judge 2023, but I mean maybe that's the start of a title run or a team that very much looks the part of a title contender. And then you could say, hey, I saw them at the very beginning. The flip side though is I guess if they do make that run, those are 3 other expensive weekends you're going to have on the docket later on. And so I don't know if the week in Hawaii is worth missing the Final Four and all that, or you swing in both if you can, but just something to consider, I guess. But given what the team could be, given that it's freaking Hawaii, what else needs to be said? And yeah, I mean, who knows how many more times they're going to be doing this at a high level. I mean, I guess not every team there is top 25, of course, and I don't know how they pick some of those other programs to get in there, but who knows? It might not always be a given the way it is now, I guess. So absolutely, go for it.
Okay, I think I'm gung-ho. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come back with a hellacious sunburn, some lays, as I just go back and make a nice home in a new empty refrigerator box. But hey, at least I went to Maui. Like, how cool is that? So look at me
maybe
go.
I don't know if they have mobile betting out there yet, but maybe research that, and you could just win your whole trip back. Bet it all on stay and just ride with them the whole way and see if you can win your plane ticket back.
See, that's an absolute no-brainer. And I also got 2 years to do it too. I mean, that's a lot of time to write, friendly ransom notes to, the CEOs at Get Upside or Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group, just to politely, a polite ransom note, politely ask for more sponsorship dollars to foot this probably high 5-figure bill that a trip to Maui would be. But hey, we're not above that. I mean, we're not above that. I will be penning some cutout magazine letter, again, friendly ransom notes here after we're done with this call, Stephen, which is pretty soon because I've burnt up enough of your time, Stephen. And once again, you were generous enough to join us for a game of overreaction, proper reaction after some Mondays with Mel talk, I should say. Thanks again, man. You are quite simply the best. Anything to plug? Any hot stories coming down the pike here in a hot second?
Just every day. I mean, I'm pretty happy with what we did last weekend, and I think I've had some stuff out there. So just Spartan Tailgate. If you feel so inclined to support me, come and be a VIP member. We got a lot of good stuff going on the message board. Recruiting coverage, of course, is nonstop, 365, and a lot more. I'm going to be doing a lot more of my sort of regular coverage or game day coverage or just special stuff is going to be increasingly going under that banner, I think, moving forward here. So that part, and I'm going to be out in Seattle. So, I'll have on-site coverage out there. And so, sign up and follow along and, make fun of whatever I write, I guess.
Okay, yeah, whatever floats people's boat. We're just here to make people happy, Stephen. In the end, that's what it's all about. And hey, you guys make me happy because I re-upped my VIP membership just last week, worth every single penny. So you guys should do the same.
Thank you,
Spartan. No, thank you. No, I could do this all day. No, thank you, Mr. Brooks, and thank you once again for your time, and thank you everyone else for watching and listening. You guys are quite simply the best. We will be back tomorrow and the day after that, and the day after that as we lead up to kickoff. Spartans, Huskies, Seattle. I'm scared, but not as scared as I was before this conversation. Everyone, go enjoy the rest of your week. Love you all. Go green.